A very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise. But the T-shirt, just United front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that. But no, we were just we had a very
that really needed to be mentioned.
I'm trying to make a situation light, okay? But yeah, no, I think it was just all of us getting on the same page for the game. We wanted to do something that was just united and collective, and I thought that it was a very powerful moment and got the point across. And sometimes you don't have to say anything.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Welcome to Alex Sports Talk and Bets, and we gotta talk about the WNBA, which I hate to do. I really do, because I want the ladies to do well, right? Like, I want their league to do well. Yeah, I do want them to get paid, but their delusion is incomprehensible. I don't think I've ever really seen in live action employees be as delusional, or contracted workers, whatever you want to call them. Quite frankly, I don't care. Be quite as delusional as WNBA players are. Then we gotta have a side conversation about Kelsey Plum, because I really don't like what she did to Caitlin Clark at all. And the way they treat Caitlin Clark is part of the reason why they're not getting paid now. But I digress. Let's just start with their delusion. First of all, I don't know whose bright idea it was to come out there with t-shirts that say "pay us what you owe." Listen, if you want people who are not fans of your sport, and you don't have a lot of fans of your sport, what you have is a lot of fans of Caitlin Clark, what you have is a lot of fans of Angel Reese, but you do not have a lot of fans for your sport. All right, so if you want to rally people to support you, you need to make yourself a sympathetic figure. All right, this is like business 101. You need to make it seem like the WNBA is like the big bad wolf, and they're picking on you and they're not treating you fair, and that's how you would galvanize Americans to get behind you and rally to your cause. Instead, you guys are being arrogant when everybody knows you have nothing to be arrogant about. You guys are walking around in t-shirts, and again, I don't know whose bright idea this was, that say, "Pay us what you owe." What are you talking about? The WNBA doesn't owe you anything but the money on your contract that you signed, which all of you have been paid. It's not their fault that you signed a contract saying you make $75,000. It's not their fault you signed a contract saying you'll make $200,000. If you didn't want to sign the contract, you could have went overseas, or you could have just not played basketball and got a real job. Quite frankly, the delusion of WNBA players pissed me off. Because if someone was to tell me, "Hey, I want you to go and work for 4 to 5 months, and I'm going to give you $75,000 to $200,000 to do this," I'd run and do that. Like, who wouldn't? The average American would say, "Okay, for 4 months of work, if you're going to pay me $75,000 to $200,000, I'm there." It's 4 months of work. You still have the majority of the year to do whatever you want. All right? You signed the contract, on the contract. Talking about some "pay us what you owe." They don't owe you anything. Your league would not even exist if it was not for the NBA subsidizing you. What you should be wanting is for the WNBA to take as much of this new influx of money as they can to continue to grow your league. If you had common sense, now this is the businessman talking, okay? This is the wealth manager talking. This is the accounting major in me talking. If you had any sense, you would give up this whole crusade to get paid as much as NBA players, which is just stupid anyway, because you don't get watched as much as NBA players do. You don't sell out arenas like NBA players do. You don't sell sneakers, jerseys, worldwide, none of that like NBA players do. So if you were smart, this is what I would tell you to do. I would say, listen, I get it. The league is starting to grow. There's an influx of money, but right now you're still operating at a loss. So even if you made a profit, like everybody wants to talk about TV deal. "Oh, well, Alex, they just signed a $200 million TV deal." Okay. But they've been in debt for like the last 20 years. Even if that TV deal was to clear all their debt and they're finally operating in profit, they're trying to expand. You got the Golden State Valkyries. They're trying to get another team in Detroit and I believe Houston, which is good for the league because it's more players, it's more growth in more cities. Let them do that. If you had common sense, this is what you would do. This is what I would do. I would say, okay, I would sign the shortest CBA agreement in sports history. It would be 2 to 3 years. All right, you know what? We're going to sign this little agreement right now. 2 to 3 years, we're going to come back. In 2 to 3 years, we'll have Juju Watkins and a bunch of other star players in the league too. There'll be more teams and more cities. Now we're going to ask for more money. Now we've been profitable those last 3 years. Now we got some leverage. We got some things working. But to ask for that money right now, when you're literally still operating at a deficit, is insane. right? And I understand not wanting to sign like a 10-year CBA where you're getting like 3% of profits, right? And you see that an increase in revenue is coming. But at the same time, you can't ask for that money right now because it's just not there. Like, that's the reality of the situation. It's not there. Like, you guys, they still have to fly you guys to arenas, rent out the arenas. Again, expansion teams. It's just not there. Stop being selfish. They don't owe you anything. Pay us what you owe is a stupid statement. They paid your contract, so they paid you what you owe. You're not owed anything else. All right? If you don't like it, leave. Like someone said to me, oh, well, what if they thought that their talents were worth more than the $200K that the WNBA pays them or the $75K that the WNBA pays them? Then you know what a sane human being does? If you're working somewhere and you feel like your talent could generate you way more income than what you're currently being paid at wherever you're contracted to work, then you would just go somewhere else. But they can't go anywhere else because what they think their talent is worth versus the reality of what their talent is worth clearly does not align. They tried to start a new league. First of all, the Unrivaled League, it could have been thought out better, but it was a good start. Half the players didn't even play in that league, even though they were making more money, but I digress. And it just didn't take off. No one really cared about it. A couple people watched it, not enough for it to go anywhere. So when you say, oh, well, what do they think their talent is worth more than that? Okay, they can leave. And they can start a league like they did with Unrivaled, and we can watch it not do anything. And we can see they still won't be multimillionaires, right? The money as of right now is just not there. This is a prime example of why some people find socialists to be annoying. Because the whole argument of this is simply, well, NBA players are making all this money. It's literally just a jealousy of men. That's all it is. You see NBA players making this money, so you feel like you should make this money. But you don't generate the money that the NBA players do. You don't see like Division II schools looking at Division I FBS schools and saying, hey, we should be making the money they're making. Because they have enough common sense to realize we're not selling out games with 130,000 people. We don't have people on ESPN, ABC, NBC staying up to 8 o'clock at night to watch us play. So we're not going to make what the Division I FBS teams make. And they just accept that and they move on. But the women are like, the men are making all this money, but the men are more entertaining. Their product has been more entertaining for a longer time. You got a lot of catching up to do. You can't just walk in somewhere and say, hey, equal pay. It doesn't work like that. You get equal pay when you have the same position in the same company. The WNBA and the NBA is not the same company. The NBA subsidizes the WNBA so that y'all can play basketball in the first place. You have no leg to stand on sitting here asking for equal pay. And then to use the slogan, pay us what you owe, just makes it even worse because they don't owe you anything. What are you talking about? This is entitled at its finest. Now, before we move on from this nonsense about the WNBA, we'll hold out. Like Angel Reese talking about something. They don't pay us what we want, then we'll hold out. Nobody cares. The worst thing the WNBA could do right now is hold out. You have the most momentum you have ever had since really when you first started. This is the most momentum you've had since you first started. You're going to hold out? The WNBA wouldn't survive a holdout. They wouldn't. The Caitlin Clark hype will go to zero. The Angel Reese hype will go to zero. When they come back, no one will care. Basketball as a whole isn't even doing well right now. So the last thing you should do right now is say, we're going to hold out and do what? What are you going to do? What is the job options for 6'8" Bull Dykes? Because the league just now started getting cute girls. So what are your options? Where are you going to go work? Like, what are we talking about here? Just chill out, relax, have a seat, and play the long game. Like I said, sign a short CBA. Not going back to Kelsey Plum. Really quick before I get out of here, I got to talk about Kelsey Plum because I can't stand her ass. Kelsey Plum gets on my nerves. That shot she took at Caitlin Clark was just a hater comment. I don't care. Some people out here like, oh, she was joking. No, she was not. She was being shady. She was being shady and passive aggressive. She wasn't joking. There was absolutely no reason to bring up how Caitlin Clark and Team Caitlin Clark wasn't at that meeting, especially when they wore the stupid ass shirts. Look at Caitlin Clark's face. She knows that this is stupid. She has this shirt on and in her head she's like, man, this is dumb. First of all, Caitlin Clark got a bag, just like Angel Reese got a bag, just like Aja Wilson got a bag, just like Nefesha Collier got a bag, right? Because they're balling. They're actually getting their worth. The rest of you just aren't that good. You aren't that entertaining, and people don't like you that much. It happens, okay? Some people have YouTube channels that get millions of subscribers. Other people have YouTube channels, and they never hit 100. It happens. Like, that's life. I'm not going to be out here, pay me what you owe YouTube. Another sports channel has this much. Has nothing to do with me. right? Either way, I digress. The point of the matter is Caitlin Clark wore the shirt and her team wore the shirt. So what purpose did it serve? In the middle of the meeting, you're already rubbing everyone the wrong way, saying pay us what you owe when they don't owe you everything. Now you're going to attack Caitlin Clark, who has by far the biggest fan base in the WNBA, and it's not particularly close. Now, whether or not her fan base is toxic is a conversation for another day, but it's still the largest fan base in the WNBA. So you, one, act as if the league owes you something when they don't. Then you attack the largest star in the league unprovoked for absolutely no reason. And this is what you choose to do. And this is what you believe makes sense. For absolutely no reason. The reason I can't stand Kelsey Plum is because Kelsey Plum structure around the league like she's a superstar. She's not. All right, Kelsey Plum had a little bit of hype back when almost all the players in the WNBA were pretty much bull dykes besides her and Skylar Diggins and Nefessa and a couple other people, Dejanay, Carrington. But most of the women in the league were bull dykes back then, right? So she got a lot of hype for being a quote-unquote attractive WNBA player when at that time, all you had to do was look like someone who doesn't lay concrete on the sidewalk. That's it. So Kelsey Plum has a way inflated sense of ego about, one, her as a superstar, and two, how she looks in general. She thinks she's a baddie. She's not. She thinks she's a superstar. She isn't. And it's like she's just always saying or doing something stupid, something goofy, trying to make herself the center of attention. There was no reason to say what she had to say. Why are you even hating on Caitlin Clark? I don't even get, for what? Y'all basically the same player. The only difference is, really there isn't much of a difference, to be quite frank with you. Y'all pretty much the same player. Pretty much. I just don't get it. I don't get where it comes from. But on top of already wearing shirts, which makes you seem like pompous and entitled a-holes, now you go and attack the darling girl of the league, which further makes you look like a pompous, entitled a-hole. I don't see how this helps them at all. Then you guys do all this during All-Star Weekend, which I did not watch. I meant to watch, but I just forgot, and I was like, whatever, I'm not watching it. But I'm assuming this is a time where viewings and ratings were probably up, and this is what you decide to do. You wear a shirt that says, pay me what you owe when no one owes you anything, and then you attack the biggest star in the league. I don't get you guys. And then you're not even original because you wear all black shirts with white print, just like the NBA did when they were protesting Donald Sterling. But it made sense when the NBA did it because they were protesting Donald Sterling about him being racist. No one's being racist to you guys. So what are you wearing black shirts with white print for? The whole campaign is just dumb. I need WNBA players to really get in the building and talk with someone with some financial literacy and some financial sense who can help get them together. Because they're doing everything wrong right now that you could possibly do. And they're making themselves look crazy when it's not necessary. But listen, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I am Alex and I am out. Peace.